So when does an album like shift? When does it start to take shape?
I think that the albums are always taking shape because for me, when I'm writing the music, usually it's written in an idea of like a suite. So everything is connected to everything. Even if I wrote one song in 2 years prior that's still unrecorded, then another song that was just written, everything is all about like enclosure. So it's like a great book. You wouldn't have like a lot of great chapters, but no like a formidable way that it was laid out. You're going to take the time to really figure out which one is actually going to be what was supposed to be chapter 7 may actually become chapter 1, and so on and so forth, right? And so I think really for me, when I'm writing, I'm always writing albums. I'm never writing single tunes. And so in moments, I may have a couple songs that are kind of finished, another song that's halfway, just kind of a scrap. I may take that, put it with that, put them together, and then that actually, I was hearing the same song as if they were two, but they were really one. And so experiment, have fun. That's what we're given, was the ability to have fun.
But does there then, is there then a moment where you kind of say, okay, now what I have now and all this inspiration, now this is going to be an album? Because you can, the way you explain it, you can kind of go on forever with because like you say,
sure.
everything's connected.
Right.
So if you take shift, was there a turning point, so to say, where you said, okay, no more new stuff? And
I think the biggest turning point for me in regards to shift is when I decided to identify myself, and when I was able to identify what it is that I was offering inside of these specific sets of compositions. This was really the moment that gave me a realization of like kind of a bit of a totality in regards to like a larger group of music. Because as you know, Shift is my third album as a leader, and first album obviously on Blue Note Universal. I treat everything like it's the first time. But even for me, this really closes out a chapter from the time I was in Kansas City, and from this child that we were talking about doing gigs in high school, and this coming all the way to being someone that's a grown man that lives in Paris, and all of the experiences that I've accumulated. And it's really something that I think is much broader than the compositions themselves, but they just come out naturally. So they come out so naturally, and then I'm paying attention to them. So I say, oh, okay, I don't force anything. So if something late, sometimes it sounds like I specifically wrote that. Maybe I did, but for me, I'm paying attention to the organization, the production, post writing, and so I allow the writing to be free, So there's never a moment where I'm like, oh, this is shift. This is it. That one, that should, no, never. I mean, it's just like, it has to tell me as much as I'm telling it. So.
And then obviously it's not just you on the record.
Right.
You play with Pat Metheny, Jason Moran.
Right.
How do they factor into the composition and into the
Oh
song?
wow, for me, I'm merely just doing my messenger part in regards to getting the notes on paper to deliver my idea. And for me, I think the way that they took the music inside of themselves and completely filtered it out through their perspectives, their emotions, their depth. They did something to the music that had never been done before, and it was captured in the most fresh, forever kind of way, doing it on this album, because everyone was really in a really wonderful space. And I think that they were able to take the music, deconstruct it, reconstruct it, and do something spectacular with it. And that's what they did.
And you mentioned this kind of mood while recording. So how important is that mood for the music in a sense?
I think it's completely obligatory if you want to have a certain type of energy and vibe put into the kind of sonic space that exists surrounding something. I think you can hear when something's filled with sorrow, something's filled with love, something's filled with I don't know in between. And so on this particular day, there was just such a beaming of love for the several days that we did the rehearsals and recording and whatnot. That was something that was remarkable in itself, that I learned so much just from grown men, how to be a man, many of these things that really, they're a musician obviously, but it's being this great person and being a great musician, I find my favorite ones, usually they're hand in hand. There's no separation between this, you know.
In that sense, I was going to ask if you had a favorite on the record or if one track sticks out, but well, you kind of said that they all are connected. So can you pinpoint something that?
Oh
maybe
yeah,
just from that one
I
album?
definitely have some moments. There are many moments for me, which is strange because it's my album. Like I shouldn't have a moment, like you know. But no, there are moments like because I've had enough of a chance to listen to it as a listener. I've removed myself. It's like who's that guy on saxophone? You know. And so when I check it out, man, it's on slow. I think Pat Metheny's solo on slow is absolutely absurd. I think it's amazing. Jason Moran on In Your Next Life, his piano solo on that. There's a moment like halfway through the form where it's like they're really out in the ocean. Everything's still completely in it, but it's like none of this is scripted. Everything was complete, and it was so perfect. It was like I can't even. It's hard for me to even hear the song when it's not played that same. He changed the way that it should be done in that moment, and forever did it. You know. And depth. I mean, just you know. I think that overall, the thing that you have these individual moments like this. Everyone has their moment. Obviously, I talk about Harish, talk about Nasheed, but I think that more important for me, like the overall project, like there's a cohesion of this type of focus, and it's not only focus met with like precision, but it's met with like a lot of like. Love, just a lot of really wanting to be there and really being a part of what's going on, and that for me, that in itself is already something super special. And I think even more specifically, obviously, to have a group of individuals with the professional characteristics and nature of their careers and whatnot, and who they are, and this and that makes it even more unbelievable in many situations. But this was possibly one of the most free-flowing, easiest recording sessions I've ever done in my life.
Was it daunting at the start then, because they are a bit older than you, or some of them are a bit?
Yeah, see, I mean, I think it's because I think for someone else, had they come into it and they said, "Oh, I'm going to contact Jason, I'm going to contact Pat, I'm going to contact Now She Waits," and do it that way. But for me, it's like the same way that we just met. That's the same way that I met everyone else. So obviously, I've been listening to Pat Metheny since I was 16. Jason Moran, I've been listening to since I was 19. Once I started checking out Greg Osby, that's how I met. So Nasheed, I first heard on Antonio Hart's album Here I Stand, his album that got released on Impulse, only one he put out on that label. That's where I first heard Nasheed Waits. I said, man, who's that drummer? I was 16. Then everything's connected. The first master class I ever had was with Max Roach in Kansas City. Max Roach was Nasheed's godfather. So everything is in this scene to where I've been connected to everyone here for a long. Pat's from Kansas City, the place where I learned to play and this and that. He had been already doing that 25 years before I ever got there. So we're from it. Everyone is collectively together, you know, in our own very ways. Harish, how we met, it's very unique in that way. So that way, it wasn't daunting because these are all people who were more or less on whatever level someone would like to say it, or they're my friends. So I know it's weird for people, but they're my friends. So it's like and it just so happens that they're masters and innovators of the music and all this other like super deep Einsteinish kind of properties happening. But yeah.
Finally, then, you mentioned that with Shift, you say it's kind of the end of the third chapter, or of the first three albums, part
Right.
of one chapter.
Right.
How do you have a notion of what the second chapter will look like?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of ideas running through my head now. I'm spending most of my time trying to get the music out. So I'm trying to just compose, and like I said, examine later. But you know, I've been spending a lot of time in Africa the past couple of years, and I had a chance to spend some time in a small village by the name of Kenkele in Congo, and also I was just recently in Ivory Coast, and I've had some experiences with the traditional musics there and dance that have really shifted my ideas as to how deep I really like to go with the next project. I'd almost like to have something like pygmy like drum chant meets like 8-person choir meets like electric bass, drums, saxophone trio with like string quartet, something like that, to where it's like really like I don't know, Arnold Schoenberg meets I don't know, something in that space compositionally, but then have like this thing that exists surrounding contemporary improvised jazz music today.
So it's still early days.
It's still early right now in terms of the full idea and the finalized concept coming, but it's coming because I want to get this out pretty soon. So like I said, I have music, so I'm writing and trying to be prepared. So
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.